Well, hello, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thanks for joining. I know we have a few people that are just hopping in from different meetings. It is 2 o'clock on the East Coast. It's a beautiful October 23rd in the New England area. Just went for a walk and it is gorgeous. Leaves are turning for us. This is why we live up here. Hopefully, wherever you're calling in from, you're having some good weather and everybody's healthy and happy. Well, thanks for joining. So we are PPM Works. Some of you have been on other webinars before, and some have seen us, whether at an event or two, or maybe even one of our clients. And if you're watching this on a recording, make sure to reach out to us. Let us know your feedback, as well as the folks that are on the call. Make sure you submit any Q&A that you have, and I'll make sure that I'm answering it as we go along. We have an exciting topic for us today, one that's been talked about for quite some time, and it's really understanding and walking through, and if you would, demystifying this notion of enterprise versus work management. And when we talk about collaborative and work management and enterprise and work management, what do those really mean? And then from a tool perspective, a lot of folks say we were just at the PMI event out there in LA. And then just recently here, we are at a PPM Pharma event here in Boston. And folks wanted to know not only the process and how can we help with change management overall from an organization perspective and industry, but also what tools are you starting to use? All right, so we're going to dive into this. We do have a webinar series. They're every Wednesday that are out there. You can see that there's a bunch of webinars that we have here for you. And I just invite you to go ahead and reach out to us if you do have any questions. But go ahead and register. I'll put in the link right now. Just you can go out there for um, where we are, and it is PPM Works and .com/events. And I'll put that in the chat here too, so you can go ahead and click on that directly. We have a couple topics that we're really excited about. One in a few weeks is that essence of question of what tool should we be using and how did our clients and how do we help our clients choose the correct tool, right? There's a lot of things out there. We're not saying go ahead and get rid of all those things. We're saying how can you use them and choose the right ones that work from you? And then going across the entire Microsoft ecosystem, getting into not only financials, but how does project management work with that? And then the all important next week, or 2 weeks from now, is going to be in and around Copilot. And that's got a lot of buzz that's out there. You'll hear me say, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Another area where you can go out there and see everything we've done. Our marketing group has done an excellent job with categorizing things and seeing how they all come together, but also a lot of the feedback from you, the folks that have been looking at those, and we engage and answer questions directly online through our YouTube channel. Okay, so now what are we getting into? Well, we're starting to get into the essence of how things work, but also to do that, we want to understand what are the problems that you currently have. Now we're seeing these across all industries. So when it comes in, from our clients, from our customers, from analysts, even market research is coming back with these problems, and then we have solutions. I just want to pick a couple that we're hearing, time and time again, and it's really, using the tool or choosing the tool that they want to do the work. So can we do the projects right? And are we doing the right projects? That theme that's happening over and over. So we do need a tool that's versatile. And we're going to talk about, how can you use Planner, the new Planner, and Project today, as well as some other things that can help you there. Another area that people are always asking is, we have so much going on. How do we focus? How can we focus on exactly what's going on and put a lens into that area, right? So again, having an intuitive design and tool that allows you to drill in, just use the tool as designed and get those data-driven decisions. That's what we need. So a modern solution can go across all these. It's easy to use. It allows you to ask those questions, not only of the organization, but also of yourself. Am I doing the role that I'm supposed to be doing? And am I doing it effectively? Now, when we talk about, the hierarchy, if you will, and you're looking at this sort of the different groups that are here, you can really talk about from whatever persona, whatever you are currently looking at. But also, you need to understand the other personas. This is the key place when we talk about work management within the ecosystem, and we talk about, you know, um, a comprehensive work management system that allows all the stakeholders. Okay, the EPMO, PMO, the team leads, and folks that are outside that. Maybe external vendors, other groups that you work with. How can we increase or really focus on our PPM investment in those areas to keep each one of those stakeholders involved, but also give them the data that they specifically need in the way that they want. Okay, so again, the data that they specifically need in the way that they want or they consume data. So from an EPMO perspective, if folks are calling it those days, we transition in and out and flex of, can we say the EPMO word or not? But we find it very helpful in here. And, we talk about, portfolio roadmaps for these folks, and projects have to be included but in a robust portfolio area where the EPMO can go ahead and see that. And that would be more of the modern DPM solution or Microsoft solution that's out there that can go ahead and see all of that. And then as you go down into, the individual PMOs, whether they're PMOs by, corporate strategy, or maybe you have by product or division, or maybe a different group, okay? Those again are more getting into the way that they can flexibly manage across different tool sets, but also across the different types of initiatives that are coming in. And then we get the doers, those project teams that really are going to take, and can they work intuitively and do what they need to do. From a Microsoft perspective, this might include Microsoft Project Planner, ADO or Dynamics, and things like that, and maybe even some legacy things like PSA, Project Service Automation. But regardless of the tool that you're using, you're really concentrating on keeping those folks, whether they're project managers or accidental project managers, in the loop, on project tasks, in conversations, looking at files, okay, getting tasks updated. That's the key. And how do we do that? We do that by collaborating through Teams, SharePoint, Planner, getting everybody invested at whatever time it is, at the crucial time of within the project, or maybe better off suited that they can see it later on in the project. Whenever that is, you need an enterprise grade, okay, solution that offers the robust um, area for managing, but also collaborating. And that's really where Microsoft sits on top of that infrastructure that we're going to get to Microsoft. So I wanted to first start there and say, okay, here, if you hear one thing here, that you need to go across all personas when you're asking about it. We were asked, how do we, what's the best tool, for what I'm doing across those personas? Now, the recent release of the new planner, that nice and blue and purple and violet logo there, replaces everything that you currently potentially could be using, whether that's Planner, To Do, maybe even some things that are in a SharePoint list, Task app, and then the old project for the web is all coming into the new planner. And so you take those new planner, and whether it's again some of those other things like Project Online, or maybe the new modern PPM solution that we'll talk about at the end, is really using those. And you can see as the individuals grow into the enterprise, it gets more complex, and you start to go from maybe a new planner area, which would be more of the work management. And when you get into enterprise management, you're really going to need a PPM tool in the likes of a modern PPM, OnePlan, or even Project Online. Now, when we talk about this entire solution, you can start to see the wheel of tools, right? And this is really for IT. You can take this slide and show it, but you need to understand that let them work where they're going to work, okay? And then we can use Microsoft's tool set, whether it's creating a Power App to make it really robust and really easy for people to maybe put project information in, request a project, right? Where do I see updates? Can I see those in Teams, alerts, things like that? Getting in Power Automate, right? Whether it's OneNote or maybe you're even using the loop component for note taking that's out there, which I really prefer, it's getting all of this into one area where we can collaborate and get the information there. The tagline here on this side, I sort of chuckle, but it really is reinvent the way you work. Make sure you're using technology in the way that you need to. And then on the left hand side, you're really focusing in on those tool sets that we know, the execution piece, right? Whether you're using, you know, dare I say Excel on the other side, but Planner, Project Online, or the modern PPM tool set. So when we're asked to start doing work and you're putting yourself in that first persona as a doer, someone that needs to get something done, we're going to say, all right, I would like to take a look at everything, meaning I'd like to take a look at my things that are in to do, bring it all into one area in a very easy, a way I can grow, that's intelligible, right? That I can work with, but that's very user friendly and simple to use. So when we take a look at that planner, we really want to make sure that we're looking at this across both of those keys. So again, defining collaborative work management as for the end user, for maybe a team that's beginning to start a project or really work through that project, they can collaborate, they can work. Again, more on the tasks and getting things done. And then you have this other camp that says, yes, we also need the task and execution, but I want to look at portfolio alignment. I want to look at strategic initiatives. Are we working on the right projects and not just doing the right work, right? How do we balance all that in? With Copilot now, and I can show you an example of this, Copilot sits on top of it and you can start to ask questions of Microsoft Planner, the new planner, or even the modern tool set and say, in a case, how are we doing on this project? Are we behind? Or maybe from a work management perspective, I'd like to create a project and I don't really have formal project training. So, AI, can you help me create a new project development project? Or what are the best case scenarios of? Okay. Do I have risks? Do I have issues to build that business case? All this sits back into the Dataverse, right? So you're going to have your Azure platform. It's a service as a solution that's out there, software as a service, that is. And that all is going to stay in the Dataverse. That's a point taken because before we were talking about all our data sitting in SharePoint. And we had to go in through OData and collect it. Now, through all the Power Platform, you can go onto the Dataverse and grab that data and report upon it using Power BI or any other reporting tool that you use. Now, a couple slides, and then I'm going to flip over here. We have, the project is really the execution. So you need to get your insights very quickly. All of this you can see within the screenshot can be housed within Teams directly. Why is that cool? That's cool because they can just go into Teams, they can go into their actual project, search everything within Teams, find the actual project or the schedule, and start working on it. Now, the three areas, or four areas really, but the three areas that I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about, mostly with a demonstration, is getting into the project management aspect of it. And, you know, how do we manage our projects, plan, et cetera? How do we get into the resourcing aspect, resource allocations, and those things, both from a work management perspective of collaboration, but also from the enterprise. And you really probably in between one and two, if there really was like a 1.5, right? That's where you start getting into two and three, really more of the enterprise work management. But then you come back on four and you say, okay, well, we're going to collaborate. And that's sort of part of work management, but it's also part of enterprise. The reason why we put it in this order is a lot of people systematically work through this and say, hey, I need to manage some projects. Okay, it's going well. The next thing will be asked is, do we have enough resources on this? You're like, oh my goodness, yeah, I got to start doing resource management, maybe some Power BI reporting. The third that someone's going to ask is, hello, are you doing the right projects? What happens if a project gets delayed, okay? Or what happens if we add more dollars or maybe dollars are reduced? So the last there is communicating those out, getting a complete set of information or that enterprise that gets out to everybody. All right. And so that's really what we wanted to concentrate on. Now, there are a couple more slides in here that we can go through, but it's really about this amalgamation, if you will, or transformation of the different silos. When I say silos in this case, I'm talking about how projects are created and managed. A typical work, waterfall over there on the right. Okay, we want to do some in the middle, maybe a little bit of both. Okay, agile and water, and then the far left, we're doing, epics, and we're getting into storyboards and all that stuff. These, whether you're along these different journeys, you can still use the tool sets, meaning Microsoft New Planner and or the new modern PPM tool set to align with all these. And I'm going to show you how you can bridge that gap within your organization. The tool to bridge all this would be a modern solution. One of our partners that we uh, always advocate with is OnePlan. It's built on Microsoft technology, and it is that portfolio. So it goes out and that tool that goes across everything in the organization and really brings to you a solid base for going across not only work management, meaning collaborative, but also enterprise. And that's really, the key that I wanted to, sort of end up on is let's take a look. Let's figure out what's going on with the new planner. Let's get into the new planner app. Let's take a look at some of those things. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We're going to look at a few things, and then I can come back and we can, wrap up with, reaching out to us and things like that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to get my teams up and my planner. Go ahead and share here, and I'm going to leave it right here. So you can go ahead and see how I get into the new tool. How does that look? And, how do I start navigating through? Looks like it's coming up here. Yep. All right. I can see that in my screen as well. All right. So the first thing is I just happen to be on Teams. Nothing too much going on, but we have this little planner thing here, and that's where I want to start going into. Now, there may be some temporary data here being some sample data. That's fine. What I can go ahead and really focus in on is my plans and say, what can I do? What am I doing? And what am I working on? And I can also then go into uh, my tasks. Now, this is really focusing on that collaborative work piece and the doer as well, going across all these. I can dive into these particular plans. Once I go into a particular plan, then I can start to see, all right, the information that I have here, whether it's in a board mode, bringing in both of the to-do areas, but also what used to be called project for the web. We can see timelines. What am I working on? Zoom in, zoom out, go to different dates, okay, in this case, and snap that grid in. Some charts and some views, but also a people view. As I start to assign things here, right, to different people, I can start to see who's on what and what they're working on. I can also come in and add different people to this group, and I'm going to show you how to do all that. From a goals perspective, this is looking out, again, sort of at that, are we managing this? Are we aligning things to our goals and our initiatives, and are we tracking those? And then lastly, what's really helpful is their assignments view. I don't have any assignments in mind, but as I add them in, I'll go back to here and just show you what this view looks like, and we can start to do that. Well, another thing that you can do is over here, you do see this Copilot. As you pop up the AI, right, you can start to ask it questions, right? And I'm not going to go through it a lot in here because we've already done a few AIs and we're going to have a next one in 2 weeks on Copilot. But take a look at what it's saying. It's saying, hey, I can create a new task for onboarding, or maybe I want to increase a goal, or can you create an at-risk bucket? All right. However you do this, it's going to say, hey, I'm going to work on it. Okay. Then it's going to show you over in the actual plan. And then I can also come back and say, hey, I might want to undo that. Okay, so what I do is I scroll down here, I can see the task that I entered, or I can go ahead and undo all of that. So I did want to show you just a little bit of that because we are talking about the work management piece. The other area that I may want to make sure that people get in here is, how do I see this? Where do I see this? And how can I go in and take a look at all my projects to get, the reviews on this? And also, how can I report on them? Well, I started here, and I started by showing all this. Well, this is sort of helpful, but to me, as a doer, there's a lot going on here. So what we find out is a lot of people come in here and they start to click here and build their day. So say I'm coming in, I'd like to, I'm going to do this one on this project. I'm going to go ahead and look at this one. I know that I need to define best progress. What am I actually doing? I'm looking through all my tasks that are assigned, and I'm actually pushing these out so I can do there. And I can go back to my day view, and now I have a really consolidated view of all this, right? So pulling all that into one area and really focusing on that work management piece of it. Now, the other thing is I wanted to show as well is that you can pull in all of your tools here. Um, Actually, I'm going to just pull this up in a window. So when we're talking about a portfolio strategic view, I am going to lean on that tool that I talked about. And this is where you can go into all of your projects across the entire organization. So now we're shifting into that enterprise work management view. And when we take a look now in here, I just happen to be in a biopharma um, setup here. So we're looking at therapeutic area and asset classification, indication, whatever happens to be here, and then a functional plan. You could have any hierarchy that you want. You're set up by portfolio, program, and then project would be a nice typical example here. But what I do see is I can come in here and across everything very quickly, very easily, can I come in here and say, hey, things are on track or off track, all right? And I can go through here and say, go back and say, maybe this is at risk. We had a conversation with Denise, and she told me that we were at risk on both financial schedule. And as I'm having my meetings, I can go in at any level, the portfolio level, the program level, whatever happens to be, and do this. I could also start to see like, hey, this is good, but if I want to start to look at resources, I can add my resources to here and say, hey, how are we looking for these particular projects? Maybe I don't want this particular program, or sorry, portfolio or these programs. I want to start drilling in. I can start to drill in and see how people are doing and if they have the availability. And down, I can see that we're running yellow. I can go into Kelly in particular and say, why is that? Well, they happen to have more hours on this clinical project here that I can actually click on here. Notice when I click on here, I'm directly in this project itself. And then I can go ahead and see very quickly by going in to the quick edit, I can then go into this particular project as my ABC 201 and go and look at what's going on in my project. And as I go through and maybe I want to look at the resource area, I can start to see, okay, we are a little over allocated here. Maybe I need to split this information off from these two non-clinical folks, so 184 hours. Maybe for each month, I want to give 24 hours over here, and I'm going to reduce this to 160 hours, right, or whatever happens to be. I can go through these and do this right here. So what did we just do? We went back from a portfolio view, drilled into resources, found some over allocation, went directly into that project, made some more allocations. I didn't save it, but I could have saved it and pushed it back out. The whole wheel, again, from that an enterprise perspective of understanding our projects and doing things right, but also getting the people to do them right is critical in this view. Now, I know we only have a few more minutes, but I want to continue on. Whether it's a board view and taking a look at all these, maybe it's by phase, okay? Maybe my lanes that I want to drop in here is by priority. I want to see everything that are the high priorities only, okay? And see what leads we're in. I can push these things out. I can always come in here and filter, group, sort, add different fields and or create a particular board or view that I'd like to. I could save that directly as my personal view or with the organization, depending on my permissions. Now, the last two I do want to show you is roadmap. Again, from an enterprise perspective, I want to see what's going on with these, okay? And everything that's gonna happen. Whether I scroll left, scroll right, I can actually come in here. I can see my information that's here. I can also come into these and right click and edit, right? So as we're going through here, very easy to drill right into the board view that I was just talking about. Go into the status reports on this. Why is it green? Why is it yellow, etc. What are we looking at? So again, getting the information at our fingertips for that area would be what we want to do. And then lastly, from a dashboard perspective, didn't set this up. Let me go ahead and click on this. I'm going to go out and click on that. Off comes my dashboards. Here we are. Sorry about that, folks. You can see how easy it was to set that up, though. Um, Now you get an idea from everything within our not only work management, meaning task focus, but also across everything. Where do we see the most of it? I like to take a look at the portfolio. So I can go into the portfolio and say, hey, here's my cloud first mobile portfolio, and I can start to drill into these different areas, right? So clicking in, drilling in to these different areas and going down to maybe the portfolio level, right? Now I can see that information. And then I can say, hey, why is this world-class mobile a little below? I can drill down to see the program details, the data, the actual information that we have and drill, go back, into that customer support using mobile, right? And see why, okay? This is all reporting. This is great. This is beautiful. You can come in here and use Copilot, ask the questions that you have. You could share this with other people, bookmark it, everything you can do, subscribe that you have with Power BI. So I know I went in there, we talked and framed work management. We were able to go back in and take a look at our particular two offerings there, Planner it was, as well as the PPM solution there. And then lastly, we were able to discuss some of those key topics, that we had throughout the presentation. I did want to leave us off on a couple things. So if you're saying, okay, that's great, you know, but I really need to see a little bit more, do a little bit more. Um, this is where this is really where we want to be, right? Is understanding. Is it sharing? Yeah. Is understand. No, it's not sharing. Let me try again. Is understanding where to go get your help. Okay. And I'm going to just fast forward up to a particular slide here. There we are. So when you're looking to reach out to us, we do love to have you. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe. But this right here, info at PPM Works, is where you can ask a bunch of questions for us. Go ahead and link in to us. We're always looking for folks that have questions that we can answer some questions for you, and we can do things there. All right. Now, I take a look, see if we have any questions that are out there. I don't see too many. I do see, oh, there's one in the side chat from our internal team. So let me go ahead and put that. There you go. I'm just going to leave you off on, someone was asking about info. There it is, info at PPM Works. So you can go ahead and see that, right? All right. Now, work management and collaborative work management, you have a lot of options out there. There are a bunch of different tools. Today, we wanted to focus on two of them, one being Microsoft Planner and how you can use that for more collaborative work management. And number two, enterprise work management, focusing on the Microsoft stack, leaning into Microsoft Teams, and expanding PPM or modern PPM, either with something that used to be Project Online or moving that into our solution, which is powered by that OnePlan PPM solution. If you have any questions, please reach out to us at any time. We look forward to hearing from you. And until next Wednesday or the Wednesday after, when I have the pleasure of talking with you, have yourself a great day. Enjoy. Bye now.